Over 300 people have been killed since fighting erupted on Saturday in Sudan's capital, Khartoum, between forces loyal to Sudan's army chief, Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, and his deputy, Mohamed Hamdan Dagalo, who commands the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces. The country is currently experiencing resounding explosions and gunfire as fighting between the forces of the two rival generals showed no signs of abating ahead of Islamic festivities marking the end of Ramadan. Thousands of people are fleeing the violence in the capital as a fourth ceasefire fails between the army and the Rapid Support Forces. Several countries are considering evacuating their citizens as the country's health system is nearing collapse. The UN Secretary General is calling for an immediate ceasefire over the Eid al-Fitr holiday.
As an immediate priority, I appeal for a ceasefire to take place for at least 3 days, marking the Eid al-Fitr celebrations, to allow civilians trapped in conflict zones to escape and to seek medical treatment, food, and other essential supplies. This must be the first step in providing respite from the fighting and paving the way for a permanent ceasefire. The cessation of hostilities must be followed by serious dialogue, allowing for the successful transition, starting with the appointment of a civilian government. The fighting must stop immediately. I am deeply concerned about the terrible toll on civilians, the appalling humanitarian situation, and the horrifying prospects of further escalation. Hundreds of people have been killed and injured. Fighting in urban areas is particularly dangerous for civilians, including children, who have repeatedly been forced to shelter in schools and evacuate from hospitals under fire. This is completely outrageous. Humanitarian operations are virtually impossible. Warehouses, vehicles, and other humanitarian assets have been attacked, looted, and seized. Targeting humanitarian workers and assets must end, and I remind all parties of their obligations under international law, including ensuring safety and security of humanitarian aid workers. I'm also extremely worried about the situation of United Nations personnel, many of whom are trapped in their homes in areas of active conflict. We are doing everything in our power to be able to support them.
President Buhari has approved the immediate suspension of Hudu Ari, Resident Electoral Commissioner of Adamawa State. President Buhari has taken this step pending the completion of an investigation by the Inspector General of Police into Ari's conduct and actions during Adamawa's supplementary election. Ari had over the weekend declared the candidate of the All Progressive Congress, Aishatu Binani, as the election winner when the process had not been concluded. The president also ordered that all heads of security agencies in Adamawa State that have filed complicit in the declaration be investigated. Also, electoral body InEC has denied meeting with Adamawa government officials to rig the rerun of the state governorship election. Now comes following reports that InEC officials paid a late-night visit to the state government house to rig the polls in favor of the incumbent governor, Ahmadu Finchiri. In a statement, National Commissioner Festus Okoye debunked the claim, saying a meeting like that would be contrary to the oath of neutrality that the commission swore to. A lot to talk about this morning.
Yes, welcome back again, Rufai. So good to see you. Obviously, I'm sure you can tell from my excitement that we really missed you. And as I want to say, when you were away, a lot has been happening. But I'm sure you've been following Nigerian politics, so you know what's happening in Adamawa over the weekend. But this is the first story in terms of the president's statement on the suspension of the Adamawa REC, or Rogue REC, if I put it that way, who announced the results or declared the results in the Adamawa supplementary elections before collation was completed, and not within his rights to do so, has been called for a suspension. This is a U-turn from what his Minister of Information, Culture and National Orientation, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, said yesterday. We reviewed that statement where he said the president didn't want to interfere or micromanage an institution of government. And a number of people thought, well, that's not correct, because again, the president-elect had also released a report saying that investigations should be instituted in Adamawa to find out what really happened, because it was a show of shame. shame. It was an abuse of our democratic process. It was just a dance, a naked dance in the marketplace, as some people described it. Great to hear the president coming out very strongly against this, because we will set a precedent for future elections. And that's what some analysts have said, that if this isn't dealt with decisively, what will happen in the future would be that a culture of impunity and lawlessness will reign in Nigeria's political sphere. So it's important that the president does speak out. So he's asked for an investigation. If found guilty, he's asked that the IG of police prosecutes Malam Ari, and then, of course, also calling for an investigation into what happened with security agencies, and has asked that erring officers also should face disciplinary actions. On the part of InEC, it is important that InEC comes out, or that they've come out to speak like this, because Rufai and Dr. Bati, we saw what happened, and a number of people saying that InEC was possibly complicit, because initially, they'd come out to say that they'd condemned it, they'd called for a halt in further collation, and then summoned the officers to Abuja. But people said it wasn't enough. They wanted to see more action. InEC, within its powers, had the powers to prosecute as well Malam Ari and call erring officials to order. So to see them come out to make this statement is excellent. But beyond that, it is what they would do now. It's not just about the words and statements, it is action. InEC has to redeem itself as a credible institution.
Well, let me start with the InEC part. Here is the context. InEC is responding to an allegation raised by Aisha Dahiru, popularly known as Binani, the gubernatorial candidate of the APC in that supplementary election. Now, after InEC decided to declare Hudu Yunusa Ari's action null, void, and of no effect, Binani, who had been accused of giving out about 2 billion to certain persons to influence the process, now issued a statement and said she's a Democrat, she's not the type of person that believes in do or die politics, and she did not give 2 billion naira or any sum at all to anybody to influence the process in that supplementary election. Down the line there, she now raised the point that, in fact, what should be investigated is the conduct of 2 national officers who came from Abuja to oversee the process in Adamawa, and who had nocturnal meetings with the governor of Adamawa State. Of course, there was a response immediately from the office of the governor saying that no such nocturnal meeting took place and that state governors are not involved in the deployment of national officers of InEC. What has now, followed up is this statement now by Dr. Festus Okoye, saying that, look, no national officer of InEC was involved in any meeting with anybody because that would violate the oath of neutrality. However, in terms of conduct so far in dealing with what is now popularly known in certain quarters as Huduism, Huduism means that when you try to rig and you are unsuccessful, that is, the new phrase that has been added to Nigeria's political lexicon. So InEC had intervened promptly to say that Hudu Yunusa Ari's conduct was wrong. They also reported, to the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, asking the appointing authority to ensure that the matter is sanctioned and investigated. So on all scores, we would like to ask for further investigation of the allegations raised by Aisha Dahiru with regard to that nocturnal meeting. It's not enough for InEC to just say we don't know anything about it. Now, to the second leg of the story, the president now directing that Adamawa State Rec should be suspended and that it should be investigated, and all the heads of security agencies involved in that election should investigate their officers, and anybody that is found culpable should be sanctioned according to the law. We made this point here yesterday when Alhaji Lai Mohammed, Minister of Information, was reported as having said that it's not the president's business, that is the business of InEC. And I argued yesterday, and I restated the argument, that in fact it is the business of the president as the appointing authority. And so it is good that the president has followed the letters of the law and has acted accordingly in line with Section 154, Sub 1 of the 1999 Constitution, which makes the president the appointing authority of resident electoral commissioners. What we would like to see is for Section 6, Sub 3 of the Electoral Act 2022 to also take effect. That Section 6, Sub 3 talks about the role of the Senate, addressing the matter and also making recommendations appropriately to the president. So the president has played his part. We would all be interested in the outcome of the investigation, and we would also like to see what decision the National Assembly will take in this matter. The National Assembly, addressing the president, can in fact ask for the removal of that Adamawa State resident electoral commissioner, so that we do not have a repetition of hoodooism, the latest word in Nigeria's political lexicon.
Tabati, I like the way you coin the words. That's why I miss you so much. Truth has to be said. In the spirit of words, what happened in Nigeria, in Adamawa State, is a blight on our history. Reminds me of a movement that was started by a journalist called Benito Mussolini, called Fascista. What happened in Adamawa State was fascism of the highest order. Hoodooist fascism. That's what happened. And we cannot fold our arms to destroy our nation. Thanks to the authorities that salvaged the situation, because Nigeria was fast on the path of destruction. All parts of that incident must be investigated. Must be investigated. Claims and counterclaims must be investigated. I am happy President Muhammadu Buhari has stepped in. And you see, this goes back to the Waste Panel reports that talked about the fact that InEC officials, the InEC chair, should not be appointed by the president. They should be subject to the NJC for review. And that's where we are going. Because when this resident electoral commissioner went rogue, InEC couldn't discipline him because they didn't appoint him. That's the president that makes the approval as regards that. And for us to have very solid democracy, we must keep tweaking things from time to time. Going one step further, till date, we have not seen the National Broadcasting Commission come hard on the medium that aired a coup statement in Adamawa, that aired an acceptance speech of an election that was not completed. But we all see how the NBC acts in other cases. So we also want the NBC, the government regulators, to clamp down on all those that were part of this fascist activity that happened in the Adamawa State. We can't afford to see our democracy go down the drain. And that's why I'm happy that President Muhammadu Buhari has put his foot down. We cannot open our eyes and not talk about evil when we see it. It is only in Nigeria that all of a sudden somebody wants to win an election when the elections are not completed. And if we don't speak evil, if we don't say things we ought to say against evil, then evil continues in Nigeria. And this way we are going, we should be careful. Because that was how another person called Adolf Hitler started with his Nazism movements. If ideas like this and things like this are allowed to run amok in society, it starts with an idea. Some people go further to write a book like Hitler wrote Mein Kampf, and they start to populate this ignoble idea in society. Democracy means respect for the rule of law. And there was nothing about Adamawa that respected the rule of law.